morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles, where fans become family. I am Uncle Tats. I'm here with Isma, and also my everyday co-hosts, Rob and Donald. How is everybody doing on this Friday? Another big series when I actually think this was more of a statement series against the Guardians, who are having their own hiccups, but are still a very solid team. And a team that actually took us to the depths of the postseason last year, where it looked like it was going to be a struggle, and there were question marks if we were going to get past them, and that we did. But we seem to have better of a handle on this team.
Do you mean 2 years ago? We didn't make the playoffs last year.
2 years. It's such a when you're in there every year, sometimes. But no, 2 years ago. But it seems like we're now getting into that. We're taking care of the teams that we're supposed to, and playing well against the teams that we could be competing against in the postseason. And a lot of it, as much as the praise should all go to Judge as always. The starting pitching actually held their own this series and navigated the lineup of Cleveland very well. So, Donald, when it comes to the pitching aspect of it, aside from the extra innings in the first game, the pitching was actually very solid. And to me, I felt very confident with how they were playing and throwing the ball, locating. How'd you feel about it?
Oh, of course, Cole and Nestor. It was really the Cole and Nestor show. I thought they were particularly phenomenal. And the bullpen helped Luis Gil out when Gil struggled and then got hurt, obviously hurt his lower back. The bullpen really stepped up and did the job. But it was really about Nestor, who's been crazy good, actually, his last two starts. Back-to-back 7 innings, no runs. No walks. I don't think that's actually happened in a long time. It's like actually historic. The Yes Network did say that those 2 starts of 7+ innings with 0 runs and I believe 0 walks is actually a historic milestone in itself. And then you've got Garrett Cole, who is absolutely brilliant right now. His last 3 starts, he has been amazing. He's now back to being the Cy Young Garrett Cole. So, listen, it was absolutely vital. Those 2 starts saved the series really because of the hole that our bullpen was in. The bullpen was absolutely stretched after the first game of the series, and then obviously losing the first game. To pitch like they pitched in those back-to-back games, pitching shutout ball. Just completely shutting down a solid lineup, not a great lineup, but a solid lineup, and a lineup that has helped contribute to them being one of the better teams in the American League. To shut them down completely really speaks to how clutch it was. Both starts were pretty clutch to not only save the bullpen, but have us back to the top of the division. So salute to both of them.
Yeah, man. Those 2 starts were huge, and I just one thing this series taught me is I'm going to stop trying to figure out what the hell this team's identity is because I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. One series they looked bad against Detroit. They played like utter garbage the first game of this series, and then the last 2 games were pretty easy wins. So I don't fucking know what this team is. And I'm done trying to figure it out. We've got a month and a half left, and I'm just going to watch baseball because I don't think the Yankees know what their identity is. We saw the post yesterday. I forgot who it was, but we have like 10 or 11 players that are coming back from the IL that are going to be added to this roster, or guys that are in the minor leagues that can help us out. There's going to be a serious roster crunch coming up. The roster we have now is not going to be the roster we have in October, and I think the Yankees know that. Not to say they're not taking this thing seriously, but they're not going to overreact to a loss in the middle of August the way we might. And That's because they know the team's probably not going to look like this come October. But it's just weird because 2 games ago or 2 days ago, we were sitting here, we were complaining and we were angry because they looked bad. And now it's like they look pretty good the last 2 days. We don't know what this team is, and yet here we are, despite this team's up and down seesaw season, best record in the American League. One of the best records in baseball. It doesn't make sense. So I'm just gonna watch baseball. I'm gonna enjoy watching the historic season of Aaron Judge, the historic duo of Judge and Soto. I'm enjoying the hell out of Garrett Cole looking like Garrett Cole again, and give Nestor Cortez a lot of credit. I said 2 days ago there's no shot he's part of this playoff rotation. Well, statistically he's been our most reliable starter in terms of length, so maybe he does crack the playoff rotation. It's crazy to think that he's the guy that's given us the most length. It's such a strange series, such a strange team, but a series win against a really good team, I'll take that any single day of the week. So good job, Yanks, and hopefully they don't play down to their competition tonight, because that's something that's a trap they fall into a lot. They'll look good against a good team, and then they'll struggle against a mediocre or a bad team. So let's hope they don't fall into that funk again. But hey, for this series, I can't really complain. After that first game, it was very easy wins. Tat, you're muted.
Easy wins is a hard term to use, but I think the way that the pitching and the hitting really worked together, it really did make it look like it was easy. And because any team can win on any day. We've seen that. We've seen the Yankees destroy some of the worst teams. We've also seen them getting beaten by the worst teams, and same thing with the better teams. Where we look like we don't belong, and there are sometimes we feel like it doesn't matter what roster you have, you're not going to beat us. That's what made this series stand out for me, because it is a team that we've been battling with for the best record. So it's and you're right, Jared. That's baseball, Susan. That's just the way it's the way it goes. But before we get really into a more deeper dive on the pitching and the efforts from the starters, let's give a quick shout out to the chat. What's going on, Issy? What's going on, Sean, Jared, NFE from the Strike Zone? If you are not subscribed to the Strike Zone, make sure you do so. Dev Finch, what's going on? We got Lynn from the upper deck hanging out, peeking in from her office at work. Stephen B. We also have with us Rodney Green. What's going on, Rodney? As always, Mr. Barrows. It's always good to see you. And we got Lou. Who else is in here? Sean Browning. What's going on? Nosebleed. And Ken, as always, joins us on the daily. LA Yankee King just popped in. What is going on? And also, for the people that I know always will watch afterwards, because the time zones, what's going on, Brad? What's going on, Sonny Corleone? Always good to see you guys with the comments after the fact. Just because you're not in a live show doesn't mean that you are not part of the conversation. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button as well, and share this out. Donald, when you're looking at the way that Nestor has responded, his last couple of starts, because you've been, I think, of the three of us, I think you've been the most critical of him. So I want to know, is your confidence in him shifting at all, where you feel like his outings are going to actually be inning eaters and give the bullpen a break?
Dude, I think the way that Rob described his team in terms of, I don't even know what our identity is. I think it's how I view Nestor Cortez. I don't know what he is, because there's a couple of starts where he looks like vintage Nestor Cortez, where he was having that incredible year where he made the All-Star team, and then there's the Nestor Cortez that hasn't had an ERA that was above 5 at home, and couldn't win worth a shit at home. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just happy for these last 2 starts. It's been great. I need a larger sample size before I can categorically say that I trust him. But I will say that I think that he's almost like a microcosm of the way the Yankees have played this year. There's some games he looks unbelievable, and then there's some games where he looks like utter, complete, and absolute single A trash. So at the moment, we're right in this nice little period where he's looking untouchable, and dude, it's appreciated and it's important. So I will tip my cap to Nestor Cortez. He, uh, he showed a lot of balls these last couple of starts, man, because it's almost been like a stopper for him. He's almost been a stopper the last couple of starts. He's been because the Yankees have not played well overall. They've been playing kind of 500 ball. But I'll tell you what, Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole every night they're showing up lately and saving the bullpen and saving the Yankees. So big shout out to them, man. I wouldn't overly focus on him, man. There's Garrett Cole. Let's get to Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole's been amazing. His 150th career win, with just a very solid, almost dominating performance. But with Cole, I think last night was the start that we really needed to see. It was a rubber game, which the Yankees have a habit of, playing often these days, just because that's baseball. But you want to win the series. That's what's most important. And having Cole in the rubber game really just showed that he's ready to take the ball every start he's got, and you see him more and more just being that ace of the staff. The backbone, the guy that you could rely on. I think it's safe to say that, Cole, everything from the injuries and the rest, I think it could all be put to bed, and I think Cole's back. Rob, what do you think?
I mean, didn't he give up a hit in the first batter, and then he didn't give up another one the rest of the game? So that was nice.
Yep.
But the walks were a bit concerning.
Yeah.
Five walks is never a good thing. He only had 2 strikeouts, so he was great. He was able to navigate through some issues, but next start, I want to see the strikeouts up and the walks down, because we can't have Garrett Cole giving up 5 walks, because more times than not, that could lead to some damage, because he is susceptible to the home run ball. But considering his stuff wasn't as good as it usually is, for him to go 6 shutout innings, you're going to take that. From a not so sharp Garrett Cole, you can say, to give you 6 shutout innings, yeah, I think it's safe to say the old Garrett Cole is close to being back. I don't think he's all the way back yet, but it's certainly a lot better than what he was giving us in starts against the Mets, where he was getting tattooed. So I want to see the walks go down and the strikeouts go up, but overall it was a pretty solid game from Garrett Cole. I mean, a great game when you consider the zeros he put on the board and only the 1 hit. But I definitely want to see those walks go down. I think Garrett Cole's the guy you could say that's not going to happen again next start. I almost guarantee next start those walks will be down and those strikeouts will be up, because it's Garrett Cole. He's the best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy. So
Plus, if you look at his previous starts, Rob, against Detroit, he went 6 innings, 0 runs, 8 strikeouts, just the 2 walks. And then the start prior to that in Texas, again, just the 1 run given up, 10 strikeouts, just 2 walks. I think that start was just an anomaly, partly because of the umpire. The umpire was all over the place, and then he got into a heated argument with the umpire. Don't forget that. And the umpire gave him a ball before he even threw a pitch. So that accounted for some of the issues, I think. So I think that was just an anomaly. But in general, if you look at his last 3 starts, he's only given up 1 run, and he has 20 strikeouts. So that's pretty damn good. Obviously, the 2 wins And overall, his last seven starts, he's been excellent. 4-1 record, 2.43 ERA, with 43 strikeouts in 40 innings. Less hits than innings pitched, and just 11 runs given up in those 7 starts. So Garrett Cole is as close to being back as he could possibly be. It's pretty wonderful news for us, because if we're going to do anything in October, Garrett Cole has to pitch like this, and he's doing it.
Yeah, and I think too, that's why I was saying solid, not quite dominant. What was because he kept them all, only had the one hit, but the walks and strikeouts last night was not what you expect from him. But he still put out 6 shutout. And was able to get, with 6 walks, you would think the pitch count would also be, would prohibit a pitcher from going deeper into, past the 5th inning. But we didn't see that yesterday. We saw he was still able to kind of push himself to get through the 6th. So I really, there's not much to complain about when you have Garrett Cole as the ace of your staff. Especially if he's going to be able to, and he's going to stack up more wins. He's going to strengthen. And I do like that comment from Ken there. The 4 active pitches, 150 plus wins: Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer, and Cole. Those are not. That's not cheap company.
Scherlander's a great pitcher.
What did I say? Did I say Scherlander?
You said Scherlander.
Kershaw, Verlander. Yeah. There's the moment right there. But no, it's as much as we're praising Cole, I think the starters overall really, this go around, I think have really kind of picked it up a little bit. I mean, the other one is Heels, another one that you want to see kind of correct himself a little bit.
Well, he's hurt.
Well, Heel right now is hurt, but he really wasn't as strong
Because he was hurt.
I said because he's been hurt, but you want to see him come back and kind of put himself into the mix where you can rely on your starters a little more, because this bullpen is beat up. They're worn down. They've pitched a lot of innings, so you want to see you want to see the length that you've been getting the last couple of games from the starting pitching.
Well, that goes back to an earlier point of all the different players we have coming back. This is not going to be the same bullpen we see even in a month from now. We're going to see Hamilton. We'll see Poteet. Probably see Efros at some point. Might see Marinaccio again. Luis Heel will be back. Clark Schmidt's not even going to be in the bullpen, but he'll be back, which is going to help out the entire pitching staff. So that's why I'm not overly concerned about it. I mean, it's frustrating watching these bullpen guys one day look terrible and the next day look fantastic. I don't want to see Tim Meza pitching in a blowout game. I don't want to see him at all, but I know he's not going to be here come October. If he is, something went wrong, like seriously wrong. So this is not, even in a week from now, we could have a different bullpen. And in terms of the rotation, the last turn through, Heel didn't look good. Yeah, he was hurt. Rodon wasn't too good. Stroman was. Cole was, and Nestor was. So 3 out of the 5, pretty good. I'm hoping that Rodon bounces back. I don't know when we're going to get Heel back. I don't know if it's going to be a 15-day thing. I wouldn't rush him back anyway, considering how many innings he's already put on that arm. You want him to make sure he's good to go when you do get him back. And that's really, we need a better Stroman, and we need Nestor to be more consistent with his outings, because 2 great ones back to back. But what's his next one going to look like? And like Donald said earlier, he's just so up and down with his starts. Like, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. He might give you length, but he could get tagged for 4 runs in the first inning. You don't know what you're going to get out of Nestor Cortez. But overall, the pitching, who are my top 3 starters? Cole, Rodon, Stroman. That's got to be the pecking order. I don't know if Schmidt's going to be ramped up. Maybe Schmidt, depending on how things go in September for him. But right now, it's Cole, Rodon, Stroman. And I don't think Heel's going to be part of that equation. I really don't. With this injury and the innings they've already put on his arm, he might be a bullpen guy for a couple of innings, if anything. I don't know if they use him as a starter in the playoffs.
Well, I still would. I think Paul O'Neill was brought up that was offered that question by Michael Kay, and he said, "No, I want him to be our starter. He's already shown, the guy deserved." To be honest, he said he was robbed of an All Star spot. So, and he was. He was legitimately robbed of being an All Star for that Clay Holmes decision, which is mind boggling to this day. But going back to the rotation, I wouldn't give up on him. I think at the moment Rob's right. That's the three you go with. But there's that bubble after him where you could still have Luis Gil. And I'm not going to give up on Luis Gil as a starter just yet this season. I think this injury is actually kind of a blessing in disguise. It really is. I'm glad it's not an arm injury, which means that there's a chance that he gets back before the season ends. He doesn't need to ramp up his arm or anything like that. It's just he gets to rest it for a couple of weeks, and boy, does he need that, because that's really what it's coming down to right now. His arm is exhausted, and he's mentally exhausted because he's been overworked. You saw him when he pitched full wind up with a runner at first instead of pitching from the stretch. That showed exactly where he is mentally. Mentally, he's exhausted. His arm is exhausted. He was not right on that last start. So give him a couple of weeks on the IL, 2 weeks to rest that arm. I don't want him to throw anything. I want him to rest that arm. And I think you'll get closer to the Luis Gil that we know and love. That's kind of struggle prior to him struggling the last two starts after his IL stint. I actually do think that. So I think he's going to still be a factor in October. But the option's there. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more likely that, if anything, Schmidt is going to be a major bullpen piece once we get into October. I think Luis Gil's still going to be looked upon as a starter in October.
They could piggyback off each other. The thing with Gil that concerns me is, remember Rodon last year with the back. It affected him pretty much all season. He was just, I don't want that to happen with Gil, so I want them to be extra cautious. So even if he does start, it might only be for a few innings. I don't know how many more innings they have on that arm, because clearly, like you said, I know the back got hurt, but the dude's gassed. And it's not anything because he doesn't have the stamina. He just hasn't pitched this many innings before, and he's coming back from injuries. So you expected this at some point. I just don't know how many more innings they can put on that arm. Even if he does come back mid-September, are you going to want to push him for 2 or 3 starts in the month of September and then be like, here, go throw more in October? I don't know if that's going to be the case. I just don't want them to tax his arm more, because we need him for next year to be – he's a potential 2 or 3 at his best.
Shout out the $4.99 super chat, Uptown Sports TV. Good morning, Uncle. Grandpa Tats. As soon as I saw that, I knew who it was. This is Hector. Love you. Appreciate your support. We appreciate your support as well. And we definitely have to catch up on the telephone this weekend. So obviously we are coming. Hector's coming in with a new identity. So make sure you keep up on everything that Hector's been doing. He's got a lot of good things coming out. But again, love you, bro. No, the whole thing, I want to get this text message from Spencer. We always appreciate Spencer and his takes. He goes, you'd rather Gil getting us 15 to 18 outs, not more. He's more valuable in that role than just getting us 3 outs in a reliever role. And I think this is where you're going to fall into that controversy of starter versus reliever, because it makes sense both ways, and that's the tough part of it. It makes sense to put him in the bullpen so you still have that strikeout pitcher that can go get, that you can put in later in the game while you're still preserving the innings and the pitches. But you also don't want to set him back by getting him out of a starter's routine. So it does suit him to just stay as a starter in a rotation. It all depends on. I think it's going to really come down to the situation of the postseason. Who are the hot hands on the pitching staff? I think that's going to be your 1, 2, 3. Is going to be.
That's a really good point from Spencer. He's onto
Yeah,
something, and I agree with him. I think that starter is more important than bullpen, especially in October. I'd much rather have someone that can give you 18 outs than three, to be honest, or top off at six. I think it's a no brainer, really. So if he can get heel rested over the next couple of weeks, I'd like him to be our starter in the playoffs. I think with his electric stuff, I think that would be really important. So I'm very much on that train, and I think that Schmidt can be someone that could be used in high leverage situations out of the bullpen in October. Um, Obviously, because he's not pitched at all yet, so he needs to ramp up. And I think hopefully he gets a couple of starts in before the season's out, and he's obviously going to be locked in as our starter next year. But I'm just looking at October. I think that he could really help Aaron Boone massively by being someone that could come in, say in the sixth inning, and give you two excellent innings before you hand it out to the bullpen, and you can really then make things easier for Aaron Boone. What did Joe Torre say about Mariano Rivera in '96 before he was the closer? It was Wetland that was a closer. In '96, he says Mariano Rivera made him look like a genius because Rivera could come in and pitch two fantastic innings. So he only needed to manage for 5-6 innings every playoff start because Rivera would come in and then shut you down for two innings, and then you hand it off to Wetland, who will make you sweat and have a coronary, and that's what Clay Holmes is going to do. So you might as well have an excellent pitcher that could come in out of the bullpen, and that's maybe what Clark Schmidt is. And obviously, when I'm saying Rivera, he's not Rivera, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is if you could shorten the game for Aaron Boone, that helps the Yankees massively because Aaron Boone, I don't trust Aaron Boone, especially not in October. He's going to find a way to screw it up. So if we can make it easier for him and have some quality arms out of the bullpen, you could really shorten that game and make it very difficult for him to screw it up. So that's the path that I'm on.
yeah. That's why I think whichever side you're on, it really is a win-win argument. So that's what makes it a very intriguing discussion. But want to also appreciate
my
you.
God, this is red letter day for it.
Yankees, God only knows what that may be. Always Yankee fan till the end. Let's go. Facts on top of facts. Appreciate you and the $5 super chat.
That's my favorite.
Rodney, you're the man. No, look, there was a discussion going on with Evan and Tiki yesterday that I actually thought was a good discussion, interesting back and forth, and talking about Boone with the postseason.
Okay.
Of the American League teams that are positioned right now for the postseason, Boone is the only one with managerial experience in October. Does that give him an advantage? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think experience matters. I think it's the way you've managed. It's your expectations of the season and how you've managed you manage your players. Bourne has not managed his players to be dominant. He's managed them to win some games, but he's not that dominant manager where you're like, oh shit.
He's not improved. Before Rob brings his point, Aaron Boone has not improved since 2018 as a manager in the playoffs. There's not been one season since 2018 where he's made a massive jump or even a steady step forward as a manager. Because heck, his last postseason for us should have been a fireable offense. He did everything possibly wrong and basically caused a massive problem in the locker room. He didn't know what he was doing, and it was an absolute mess. That was in 2022. So I'm sorry. That's an irrelevant point, if there's possible to have an irrelevant point. But also, I think it's an irrelevant discussion. I don't want to hear from a Giants running back and a Mets fan who went on a dirty protest to try and help the Mets get out of the blocks to start the year. and he was dyeing his hair purple, green, red, and had a beard down to his ass. I mean, come on, he went on a fucking dirty protest. That's not someone that I really want to be sitting listening to for a coherent Yankee discussion. So let's move on. Sorry.
The comment just made me think about it. That's all. And yeah, they are pouring in. We appreciate all the support from the strike zone. Get
You guys are really stepping up for us, man. You don't know how much it means to us.
This family. This is why we are a family. Always looking out for each other. But no, it was just something. I saw that comment and that discussion came to my head, so I figured, why the fuck not? It's Friday. Let's throw it out.
I just want to say thank you to everyone in the chat. You guys are really stepping up for us. It really means the world to us. You guys are really stepping up. So big salute to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah, can we stop using WFAN as a talking point?
Okay.
Like, in general, like, there's nothing they fucking say that's ever good. They're a bunch of losers. I hate that goddamn station so much. Enough of WFAN. They have nobody employed there that should be employed besides Susan. Everybody else can go to fucking hell for all I care. I'm so sick of that goddamn radio station.
Point taken. All right. I
agree, although I like Tierney. I think everyone apart from Tierney and Susan.
Oh, you know what? Let's give Tierney a quick shout because he actually did a really good play as a color commentator with Justin Shackle and Emmanuel Vivari, filling in for Susan last couple of days. He was good. I would actually like to see him do that full time, but that's Rob X to move on from that station. So now that I said that, let's freaking move on. Why don't
let's talk about the roster crunch.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Let's talk
about this. Let's talk about this roster crunch.
Yes.
Before we progress, because it's going to be very interesting. Rob, you think that this is going to be a different roster? It's going to be absolutely a different roster. Who do you think that could be a surprise candidate to be taken out of this roster? And who do you think will be a surprise inclusion for September?
There, maybe DJ. It wouldn't surprise me if DJ or Verdugo are not on this roster for the playoffs, and Dominguez is. I don't know why I have that gut feeling. They haven't trusted Dominguez, considering Verdugo's still here, and so is DJ. But it wouldn't surprise me. I think DJ or Verdugo, one of those two, might be left off this roster for Dominguez or Peraza, because Peraza is more valuable in October. His speed and defense brings you a lot more than the other two would. And thank you, Rodney. Yeah, I'll tell you how I really feel. I hate WFAN.
You've always hated them.
They fucking suck.
I mean, they were a great channel when they had Mike Francesa and the dog, and it's just been a disaster since then. But yeah, Rodney, thank you so much again. Everyone who's given us a super chat, it's just been really made our Friday. So thank you. Back to the roster crunch. I have a hard time thinking the Yankees are going to step away from their veterans. So
no chance in hell they do that.
Do you think that there's a chance that maybe Ben Rice gets sent down for Anthony Rizzo? I see that as a likelihood. And I'd be interested to see which bullpen arms. And I wonder who's going to be made way for Dominguez, because Dominguez obviously has to be called up.
Well,
I think Birdie might make the roster.
There's so many different players. That's the thing. Birdie, Rizzo, Dominguez, even Peraza. Chisholm's back tonight, but it's just there's so many different guys that are going to be coming back in the next couple of weeks. So they might give Verdugo a month to try to figure it out, but at some point you got to get Dominguez up here, right? And give him an actual run, except for one game, and send him down. Just what they did to him was criminal.
I'm going to go back. I want to stick to the infield that we talked about the other day. I think that's the way to go. But with the Yankees are married to their veterans, and that's the problem. And that's why a lot of people, like we're having a discussion now, are going, so which kid this time is going to get screwed? Because there's going to be a handful of them this time. It's not just one player. Peraza is going to get screwed. Rice is going to get screwed. We already saw him flip flop on his play time with Wells. He went right back to the stupid shit that he's been doing. So now you cooled off Wells. Congratulations. So it's I don't even give. I'm not giving Verdugo a month. If Dominguez is ready, sorry Verdugo, you got to go.
Oh, I mean, Aaron Boone, what did he say the other day? He's like, I still think that there's a hot streak coming from Verdugo. I see it.
When?
He's running into a lot of bad luck. I mean, come on. That's just so stupid. It's just not true. It just isn't true. Stop lying to us, man. It's just not true.
You're not
there
fooling
isn't a hot streak coming for Verdugo. It's just not going to happen.
Yep. Yeah.
Ken brings up a good point. I'm sorry, but the fact that Wells was catching Cole yesterday, I want to see that more because I don't want to see Trevino getting playoff starts that much. I know it worked in 2009 with Burnett and Molina, but I don't want to see Trevino. I want the best bats available. And in terms of this hot streak, I don't know where it's coming for Verdugo because everything doesn't really. He's squaring up on the ball pretty well, but that's about it. He's not hitting the ball necessarily hard. I don't see. The Dodgers just DFA Jason Hayward, whose numbers are similar. Mm-hmm. So why can't we? It's not like we have Verdugo for next year. I mean, the trade, I will not back away from what I said. I think the trade was a good trade. We gave up nothing to get him. We needed a left fielder. Verdugo was very good for like a good couple of months. But as of now, he shouldn't be taking up playing time over Dominguez.
Of course not.
Yeah, it's another one of Verdugo's allergies, a hot streak. No, it has been that way. That's why it's the comment from Raziel, loyalty to the contract and not the production. Donald used this word a few times throughout the week. That the meritocracy of it. It's you got to play on merit, not your money. Because if it doesn't matter how much money you're making, if you're not being productive, step aside for the guys that are. And the Yankees do not have that ability to swallow their pride and be like, you know what, it's not working. Let's just move on. We've seen them do it before. They need to do it this year because they can't keep rolling these guys out. They can't. And defense, I'm not worried about the defense because we could get the same defense from Verdugo with Dominguez. With a better quality bat. So just make the freaking move already. What's going on, Joe? But
good point. But there is a series win to talk about, and we've managed to go 38 minutes without talking about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, considering they were about 99% of the offense this series. They continue to make history. So please, let's talk about the historic duo, because, again, I feel like we're taking them for granted a little bit. It's like, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto hit a home run. They always do it, right? We are so lucky, man. We're talking about stuff that we may never see again in our lifetimes. This is incredible what they're doing. Incredible what they're doing. Aaron Judge, I think, is going to get 63. I think he could. I know he's on pace for 60 right now. I think he's going to get to 63 because what I remember is before he broke that record, he went in a little bit of a slump for 2 weeks before he broke that record 2 years ago. So I think he's going to get it this time because he ain't slumping. Aaron Judge hasn't had a slump since April. So I think Aaron Judge is going to get this. I think he's going to get 63. And Juan Soto is he's just outrageous right now.
No, and it makes you wonder where his numbers would be if it wasn't for the struggles in April. It's insane what this guy could do. Mm-hmm. His consistency. But rather in hindsight, it's better that he struggled earlier and not now. So yeah, you'd rather have the rust in the beginning of the season than in the middle towards the end. But judges, I mean, it's when you keep seeing, and it's in the chat and it's everywhere. When you keep hearing the comparisons with Judge and Soto to with Ruth and DiMaggio and Mantle and these guys, no, it's
Listen to
yes,
Those are two different eras.
Ruth and
huh?
Gehrig. Ruth and Gehrig.
Ruth Gary, well, Gary DiMaggio. I was naming not in that not as teammates, but when you see these Yankee legends that were just dominant with the bat, just to be in a conversation with those players speaks volumes to what their future could be, after the season. But what they're doing this season is equally as important because it used to be the postseason came and you're relying on one guy. And we don't have that this year. Now they got two guys to worry. They have that combo of Judge and Soto.
Well, Judge has got what, a 10-game hitting streak with 7 home runs in that streak. It's unbelievable what he's doing. I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I was one of the few that wasn't screaming at him for the first 20 games. There was a lot of people that were questioning whether he should be the captain at that point after the way he struggled. And you just knew that when he got going, he got going. And it took an ejection for him to be unstoppable. Over his last, 99 games, he's been on pace for 75 home run season or something like that. I don't know. It's insane what he's doing. He is by far the best player in baseball. There's no question. He's the MVP. No disrespect to Bobby Witt Jr., but there's no discussion who the MVP is. He's putting up a weighted runs created plus that we haven't seen since Bonds and Ruth. These are the names that he's in the conversation with when it comes to his weighted runs created plus. Bonds and Ruth. That ends the MVP discussion. It's no disrespect to Bobby Witt Jr. It's Aaron Judge and everyone else is fighting for second and third. Because even between him and Soto, there's such a large gap between those two. And Soto's having a career year, yet Aaron Judge is making everybody else look like a little brother compared to him. That's how good he's been. And then there's Juan Soto, who, again, like I just said, career year. There's 200 RBIs between the two of them. They're going to have 100 home runs between the two of them at the end of the season, most likely, with the way it's going. I mean, this is unbelievable what we're watching. And if Hal Steinbrenner doesn't open up that checkbook and keep Juan Soto here for the rest of his career, I'm going to scream. So he needs to keep these two together because if we have any hope of winning a World Series, it's with Juan Soto as a Yankee for the rest of his career, not with him playing elsewhere. They need to keep these two together. It's the greatest duo we will probably ever see in our lifetime because it's statistically one of the best duos in baseball history already. So enjoy what we're watching because it's historic, it's special, and it's fun. And we might not ever get it. We might not even get it next year. That's what Donald said the other day. This is not a guarantee to get that next year. Soto's breaking his career best numbers, and Aaron Judge is on pace to do 60 again. We haven't had a guy hit 60 in 2 seasons, and how long did it ever happen with Ruth, right? So enjoy it. This is historic, and if we're gonna win a World Series, it's gonna be on these two shoulders. So get them some help around them. Get him a leadoff hitter. There are some guys. Wells has been great. Stanton hit a home run yesterday on a pitch that was down in China at that rate. I don't know how the hell he golfed that out of the park. And Anthony Volpe is on a nice little 5-game hitting streak. He's starting to heat up again since that foot injury. So, hey, if some of these guys can pick it up around them, we've got a really good lineup. But these two, unbelievable what we're seeing, and I don't think we're ever going to see it again. So enjoy it.
Here's some crazy. 13 of our 19 runs that were driven in over this series were driven in by those two guys. They are the offense. 13 out of 19. They are the offense. The rest of the offense, apart from Stanton, is below league, and Wells is below league average. But those two guys are on an unbelievable path that we're blessed to witness. I think that Soto's going to come back, and I think he's going to sign for another 12 years. I really do believe that. But there's no guarantee that we're going to get a combination of what it will be, like 102, 103 home runs by the end of this season between the two of them. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. And then you combine the fact that they're both hitting over 300. Their on base percentages both touching almost like the mid 40s, for Christ's sake. I mean, this is insane. Their OPS is well over 1,000. The numbers are ridiculous. It's not fair. It's amazing. It's amazing, and they're doing this without any help around them, which is amazing too, because there isn't a leadoff hitter and there isn't a cleanup hitter. So they're having to do extra. They're having to do another 2-3 guys worth of freaking production in order for us to win. More than have a 20 game above 500 record, and that's because of those two. So it's just amazing. I do think that Judge is going to get 63. It would be amazing. And I hope he does, because to be honest, this is a better season now than he's had 2 years ago. And 2 years ago was one of the greatest seasons I've ever seen. But he's even better this year. What's crazy is if we stop the season right now, both of them, those numbers that's better than 99.9% of the league could produce in a single season, in a whole season. What Aaron Judge is doing right now is better than you'd see 99.9% of the time. The only time you'd see that would be Barry Bonds when he boosted himself. You don't get 2 out of 3 years of hitting 60-plus home runs unless you're boosted to the moon. Back like you had back in back in '98, but that doesn't happen anymore.
He was on pace to do it again last year before he hit his foot.
Right, could have been 3 straight years. Could have been 3 straight years of this. This doesn't happen. This is amazing. So this is why I don't want us to be talking about, oh well, next year we can get a closer. Next year we can do this. Next year we could maybe fix the infield. No, this is your chance. You got 2 guys that are giving you a Gehrig and frickin' Babe Ruth season. Might be the greatest season we'll ever see. You got to ride that hot streak now. You got to fix whatever roster issues. You got to get over your ego, Brian Cashman. You got to get over your let's all sing songs and chew chewing gum and eat ice cream, Aaron Boone, and really go for it this year, because this is your golden opportunity. You can't predict what's going to happen next year. Baseball isn't like basketball. You're not going to automatically get their numbers. It's a long, hard season. Anything can happen.
Yep.
A lot can happen. So this is your shot. You're getting 2 historic years that I've never seen before. And it's a freaking joy. And we are absolutely blessed to see it. I mean, just look at this stuff, man. It's just amazing. And as a good point, Regil, the average fastball 60 years ago was like 92 mile an hour. Now it's like 102. Right? But it's obviously much higher, and it's much harder to hit now. And you got 2 guys that are doing this in an era where offense is down. Batting average, you're happy to have a 240 batting average. In an era where, you don't get 60, 70 home runs like you did back in the 90s. This doesn't happen. It's harder to hit now. And the 2 of them are hitting way over of average, doing incredible things that we've never seen before. That just speaks to the talent that we're looking at between the 2 of them.
I think the other amazing thing about it is when you look at the home run spray charts, they're not one-dimensional hitters. I mean, they'll hit opposites, centers, and pull it. They are just constantly. They're so consistent, and their approach to the plate. They don't force the ball. They're not swinging just to hit the home run. That's just their talent and their strength, and their ability to barrel up the ball where it's just flying. So it's easy to see, like, if they were all like, well, short porch home runs. But with these 2, that is definitely not the case. Because I know a lot of people on, fans from other teams on Twitter want to throw shade at the dimensions of the park, but these are home runs that are being hit everywhere. So it's not like they're getting this easily because of the stadium. That's not the case. I think that's a mute argument.
No, and it's always an excuse that people want to use. But even
Mm-hmm.
Red Sox fans will bring up the ballpark like they don't have that tiniest, stupid goddamn wall in right
Yeah,
field.
I'm taller than the wall.
Yeah, the pesky pole. Like, come on, you got that ridiculous wall in left. I know it's a historic ballpark, but everyone wants to bring up the dimensions of Yankee Stadium like it's some bad thing. But Aaron Judge would be doing this no matter where he played. And that stuff's available to you because he'd have 47 if he played in Baltimore. He'd have 40 if he played in Boston. He'd have 50 if he played in Toronto. So, like, he'd have 51 if he played in LA. Like, these are numbers that it doesn't matter what ballpark he's in. You want to put him in Philly? Oh, it's so tough to play in Philly. He'd have 51 by now. He'd have 59 if he played in Cincinnati. So I don't want to hear this stuff. He wouldn't even have that many in Colorado. So this ballpark conversation, it doesn't matter.
It's relevant also because Juan Soto is not a pull hitter. He doesn't aim for the short right
No.
field porch. Neither does Aaron Judge. None of them aim for their short right field porch. It's like no man's land in deep left center at Yankee Stadium. That's what people who don't watch the Yankees, people that don't go to the stadium don't know that. Center field and left center field particularly are very hard to reach. Very hard to reach. It's no man's land right there. And Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and in Stanton's case, fair to credit to Stanton, they hit it pretty routinely. They hit it way over that. The amount of home runs that I've seen go into Monument Park, which is a long way, and they do it routinely. So they're not pool hitters, man. So it's a relevant argument. But yeah, plus when you look at the batting average that these guys have got, they can hit anywhere and will hit anywhere, and it doesn't matter.
But no, it's remarkable. That's what makes making this season, such a wonder to watch, is because of those two guys. They are making it must watch, and that's why Boone needs to, like I said before, that's why keeping Wells every day behind the plate is so important, because you need his hot bat to bat cleanup behind Judge, because that's why they can't pitch around Judge anymore. But now, if you're going to start messing around and with this platoon bullshit, you're gonna rob Judge of another amazing season. But it's Boone's you got to give him protection, and he's had that. That's why they can't pitch around him. But let's get into the awards.
First of all, hit that like button, hit that sub button as we climb to 800. Have to say a big shout out to the chat today for really stepping up. Really appreciate it, all the support. And I really appreciate Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, 13 out of 19 runs between the two of them. It was really the two of them. It was their show. As I say, we only have two league average hitters after them, and it's Stanton and Wells. So it's really all about Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. And it's just remarkable, really. Absolutely remarkable what they're doing. So with that in mind, the MVP, it's a tough run because both Judge and Soto were remarkable. Aaron Judge drove in 7 runs for the series, and Juan Soto drove in 6. So by nature, that one extra run gives the MVP to Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is the MVP. But that means that for me, just spoiler alert, the low-key MVP. Okay, wrong.
I'm giving it to both of them. I can't pick one. The greatest duo of my lifetime is getting the MVP for this series because they won it for us. The pitching was good, yeah, but like you said, if we don't have these guys, you might win these games, 1-0, 2-1, I don't know. These dudes are insane, and when they're on, it's special. So I'm giving it to both of them because I got somebody else I want to shout out for the low key.
Yeah, no, I have the dynamic duo. I have Cole and Judge and Soto.
There it is.
It's the amount of just their offense was well, that's all our runs. So, like you said before, what was it, 13 out of the 18 or something like that? Whatever the breakdown was, they would just it was insane. So no, it's you can't have one or the other in the MVP. I think.
And let's ask the chat. Looks like, it kind of looks like Judge is going to get it, but I do agree with you guys. Probably the dynamic duo is probably the fair way to go. But I do try for the MVP, try and keep it just to one name. But I think in this circumstance, it's very difficult to choose between. So, but let's go with the low key MVP. My low key is Soto. Rob, who's your low key?
Giving it to Volpe. He had a hit in every game this series. He's starting to get going a little bit. Again, like I said, 5-game hitting streak. The average is going up. The numbers are looking a little bit better. I won't say he's good or anything, or he's even great, but he's been on a bit of a good stretch since that foot. And I don't want to keep putting him down like a lot of people are doing. I like Anthony Volpe. A lot of people like Anthony Volpe. Keep him in the bottom of the order for crying out loud, because that's where he's good.
That's
Yeah, my low key, I have Cole. I thought, not having his best stuff, we talked about that earlier, and still able to, come out with the win, milestone win for him, and giving us the series win. So I thought Cole really gutted it out to get that W that we really needed. So I gave it to Cole.
The chat is actually going with. Well, there's a lot of votes for Soto. There's 3 or 4 votes for Soto, but there's some really good votes for Nestor.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's a tie between Soto and Nestor. So, you could go either way with that. So salute to you guys. I think Nestor is a good shout.
Also, the comment from Sean about Volpe with the stealing bases again. That's another key part of Volpe getting back.
Yeah, he certainly woke up this series. I wonder if it was the argument on Talking Yanks that woke him up, because he's a different guy. My clutch award, though, is going to go to Nestor Cortez, because I thought his outing was the definition of clutch. Really, when you think about it, Aaron Boone managed us out of game 1. DJ LeMahieu played us out of game 1, and we were in a really bad spot. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen, game 1, and we were furious. And we didn't have high expectations going into these last 2 games. But then Nestor Cortez stepped up, and he shut the door. He completely shut the door on the Guardians and took the momentum away and saved the bullpen, because our entire bullpen was used in game 1, and he stopped that in game 2. So, I've been very critical of him. Rightfully so, but I'll tell you what, he was the definition of clutch this past season. So he is my clutch award winner. Let's go to Rob.
I got Giancarlo Stanton. That home run that he golfed out of there put the game away. That combined with the good pitching, it was game over from that swing. So I got Nestor for the other award. Spoiler alert for me for the next award that we're giving out. But yeah, Giancarlo Stanton, that home run, that was insane. The fact that he went down, first of all, the fact that he swung at that made me angry. But then you see it fly out of the ballpark, and you're like, only Stanton can probably do that. Maybe Judge. I don't even know if Judge would golf that out. Stanton's power is on another level. Like, he makes it look so easy, and that fact that the pitch was in the dirt, essentially, and he went down to a knee and got that out of the park. So I'm giving him the clutch.
I saw that once with Jim Leiritz on a knuckleball. It was Tim Wakefield, I think. I saw him on one knee golf it in Fenway. I've not seen that since until Big G, who can hit one-handed if he wanted to. He can hit it one-legged, one-hand. He can still hit it 400 feet. Big G is on another level in terms of power. He really is. Stupid power.
Yeah. No, I have Nestor as my clutch, but I do want to. So the other thing I wanted to say about the Stanton home run, because the only one I've ever seen that could hit a ball like that was Vlad Sr. I mean, he had probably as many home runs, with a golf swing than a level swing. But Vlad Senior was also very infamous for the golf swing home runs. That's what that reminded me of. But no, I went with Nestor because I thought like you said, Donald, after the extra inning game, the bullpen was taxed. We needed him to follow up a solid performance with another one, and he did. And reminded us of why, we used to say only pitch him at home because that's where he can pitch. It was good to see, Nasty Nestor back.
He can, yeah, but he did a great job. So salute to him. Let's ask the chat. A lot of talk about Stanton. So I guess we'll be talking about Stanton as the Clutch Award winner. Let's get to the pitching award. Pitching award. I'll make that very quick. Scary Cole. If I'm giving the Clutch Award to Cortez, I'm giving the pitching award to Garrett Cole. Rob.
I'm giving it to Nestor. I already spoiled it for myself and for the chat. Nestor Cortez, that was big. 2 starts in a row now. He's looked absolutely incredible. Let's hope that it's a sign of things to come because we need it. He saved the bullpen again, and he's been doing that more than any other pitcher in this rotation. So I do want to give him credit for that.
That's
Yeah, I actually have the starters as my pitching because I thought that they really, especially like with Nestor, Cole, and then was it Heel?
Heel struggled, man. He only went 2 innings.
Well, because of the injury, but I think that before he started, before the 3rd inning where he felt it, I thought he could. I expected. It looked like he was poised to have a little better of an outing.
He was
So
having a nightmare.
I'm kind of playing, the magic 8-ball with him. If you didn't have to get pulled. I
disagree with Heel. I mean, I love Heel. I'm like his biggest fan, but I thought he was pretty much cooked in that whole start. He was walking the universe, and we were lucky to keep it at 3 runs. Rob?
Yeah, he did not look good at all. And if it was injury or not, I think he's tired. I don't even know if that back injury is a real thing, but because I thought for sure it was his arm. When he asked for the trainer, I'm like, he blew his arm out, or it's something with the arm, like he's tired. They might be making up an excuse for the injury just to have him on the IL. This could be a phantom thing. It could be his back for all we know, but he's looked bad his last couple of starts. And I think the injury may have come, as Sean said. I think it was his previous start because he has not looked good. Because he had that stretch where he was fantastic, then he struggled, then he was fantastic again. But this last 2 starts, he's looked really bad, and yet none of his stuff has been sharp. The walks have been up. That tells me that there is something there, and he knew it, but maybe he just didn't feel it enough to say anything until this past start. He didn't look good. And I understand trying to give him a shout for trying to pitch through it, but that was a rough outing, man. Like, it sucks because he's been so good.
No, those are good points. I might have to amend it where it's the Cole Nestor combo, but I haven't had an issue with it, so I just hope he's back when he's ready.
Let's ask the chat. Good mix between Cole and Nestor, so I think we'll probably give it a share between that. Let's move swiftly on to Aaron Boone out of 10. Wow. I don't know where to start with that, so I'm going to start with Tats.
I actually, I gave him an 8 out of 10. I thought the pitching, they imploded in the bullpen in extra innings, which we always do. So that's a shock. But the fact that he trusted Nestor and Cole, because I think they, along with Soto and Judge, they were kind of the backbone of the win of the series. Letting them get the extra outs and not having the quick hook. It might have been at that point. But Yeah, no, I gave him an 8 out of 10. I think trusting the starters to go a little deeper with Nestor and Cole and not having a quick hook like he likes. So I gave him a little edge on that.
I'm giving him a 5. He had nothing to do with those wins because his managing cost us game 1. He managed us to a loss. His decision making with leaving DJ in a big spot. Who I said it the other day. You can bet your fucking house he's going to hit into a double play, and yet he let him hit in a big spot. And then you take out Peraza for Cabrera, and you take out your best defender. None of it made sense. That one game, he gets a 5. He costs exactly Raziel. You cost us a game. I can't give you a stellar grade. He let Cole finish 6. He let Nestor go 7. Those are great. But he didn't need to do much managing in game 2 and 3. And he has his 2 best hitters to thank for that. But he was the one that decided to take out his 3rd best hitter for the first game of that series. He's the one that keeps deciding to change around the lineup. A guy like Volpe, who's hitting so much better in the 7 spot, he wants to try to switch him all over the place. This is a guy that doesn't know what he's doing half the time. So I can't give him credit for this series because he didn't have to do much, and the game he had to do something, he didn't manage well. And then he came out and made these nonsense excuses, and then he speaks about Verdugo's hot streak that's not coming, and he said, I think Jazz might be too optimistic about that 10-day. Well, guess what? It's 10 days, and who's been activated? Yeah. So, once again, Aaron Boone, you're speaking out of your ass. 5 out of 10.
Alex Verdugo's last 7 games, he has a 0.71 batting average. 0.71!
Can't get much higher than that.
So, with that in mind, my rating to Aaron Boone is going to be -71. That's my rating for Aaron Boone. I thought he managed that series horribly in all seriousness. Thank God for Judge and Soto and for Cole and Nestor because they took the managing out of his hands. Right? As long as our stars show up, and that includes Stanton, as long as Stanton, Cole, and the dynamic duo show up, then we should be okay. But if we're ever asked in a close game for Aaron Boone to manage us to a victory, it will never happen. It will never happen. Every time we get in a close game, going into the 8th or 9th inning, my expectations are criminally low for a team which could very well win the World Series this year. I have 0 expectations in a close game, and a lot of it is because of Aaron Boone, because he did a horrible job this series. But I'm going to talk about that more a little later. But my rating for him is -71 for having Alex Verdugo play every single day, and we were going to get into that later. So, yes, not complimentary of Aaron Boone at all. Sorry. Let's get to the L. It could, there's a number of candidates. DJ LeMahieu was the reason why we lost game 1, in all seriousness, and Alex Verdugo was a complete clown out there right now. So, pick your poison. But I think because DJ LeMahieu was the reason why we lost game 1, I'm going to give the L to DJ LeMahieu. The Yankees are doing far too many gymnastics in order to keep him happy. But then you could also say the same for the fact that Dominguez is in AAA despite having 4 hits the next day that they send him back down again in order to protect Alex Verdugo. So you know what? I'm going to have both of them. Verdugo and DJ LeMahieu get the L. The Yankees are doing far too many gymnastics to defend 2 dudes that have no business being in the majors anymore. So that's on Brian Cashman, but it's also on Boone. But those 2 dudes are a big problem. They're getting the L. Rob.
I'm saving DJ for the other one. Luis Rojas is taking the L for me. Stop and go. What the fuck is this? Red light, green light? Why are you stopping and sending Grisham? He cost us the game. So it wasn't Grisham that hesitated. Look at the play again, Dad. I implore you, go back and watch that replay of our dope of a third base coach giving him the stop sign and telling him to go. And because of that, he had a stutter. And guess what? He was out. I'm giving that one to Rojas.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Rojas is Yeah, that definitely was not on Grisham. Sorry. No, my L. I thought of the one player I really thought of was Mason. For that implosion, but it doesn't get to him if LeMahieu actually has a competent at bat. So DJ is getting the L for me. It should not have gotten as that deep into extras than that. It's all on. It's Verdugo, like you said, could easily get it as well, but DJ has just been he's been terrible. There's not even a hot streak on the way. There's never been one this year, so he's got no ammunition. He's got no lives saved in this game. So he's DJ's getting the L.
Well, let's ask the chat. NFV's very much agreeing with Rob. So is Rodney. Ragil. Looks like a lot of people agree with Rob here that the L is going to go to our really shitty third base coach. And it's hard to argue because he is a really bad third base coach. The amount of runs that he's cost us is pretty stupendous at this point. The amount of guys that he sent just to get thrown out is almost a gift. I can't remember the last good third base coach we've had. It's been a long time. It's been a long time, man. We have to go back to the era where we actually had some competent coaching. When we had Pena and Rob Thompson and things like that, besides Joe Girardi, that was the last time I actually saw some coaches that actually knew how to coach a major league team. Anyway, Willie Randolph, Sean Brown, and great point there. So yeah, let's get to the last but not least, the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. That's the Aaron Hicks Award. I'm going to start with Rob, and I'll finish last. Rob, then Tats, and me. Rob, who's your Aaron Hicks Award winner?
$15 million waste of space. DJ LeMahieu can't play defense anymore. He can't hit the ball. He can't do anything right. And yet somehow they got to keep grinding with him. I don't know why. I don't see anything that makes them want to play him every single day. The guy is absolutely toast. He doesn't hit. His hot streak was like a good week where he had one big hit, and everyone's like, see, that's why he's here. Shouldn't fucking be. He's terrible. The guy can't play baseball good anymore. It's a damn shame what happened to him with the injuries because I still believe the contract was a good signing because of how good he was. But now, with 2 years left after this year, he cannot be part of this postseason equation. He cannot be part of the lineup going forward. He's nothing more than a potential defensive replacement. Even then, that's shaky because of the play he made the other day where he stepped on the dirt and thought it was first base. The guy, he can't play anymore. He's lost, and it's a damn shame. But, yeah, that series, that one game was enough to give him the Hicks Award.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. We should just close with that. But no, I have the Manfred rules. Stop fucking with the sport. The stupid extra inning rule. It's such a waste. Is it really saving any time? And they keep they keep wanting to change things. This Rob Manfred and all his little gimmicks. It's just a fucking joke. But I'm actually giving the Hicks Award to Manfred's rules.
Right, but to be fair, everyone are playing under the same rules. It's not just rules for the Yankees. The Yankees should build a roster which is actually capable of winning in extra innings. You know, I mean, if you actually had some guys that could maybe hit situationally, then maybe these rules wouldn't hurt as bad. The Yankees cannot win in extra innings because they send out ground ball pitchers with substandard infield defense, and there's no one that can bunt. So bunt runners over. So I mean, yeah, the rules are kind of dumb. I don't agree with them, but everyone's still playing under these same rules, and they're doing it better than the Yankees in extra innings. So I have a hard time blaming Manfred, considering the Yankees maybe need to be doing a better job of managing around these scenarios. But that's my opinion. What would you say to that, Tats?
No, it's the players have to be able. They should be able to. Like I said it the other day. It's very simple. Bunt, sack, fly, game over. Like how fucking difficult is it? But the fact we have to keep looking at these stupid fucking rule changes. I never liked it from the beginning. I've never warmed up to it. Between that, the pitch clock, the put your four fingers up in the air. No, throw the fucking ball. If you want to walk somebody, just put four outside the zone. Enough. It's just not fucking baseball. So I'm just getting.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
It definitely changes the game. I think there's a way in which they could maybe work it where like the 10th inning is still regulation rules, and then the 11th inning, maybe if you want to do that. But
no, just play it the same way every fucking inning.
Yeah, I know. But hey, everyone's still working under these rules, and the Yankees just are doing a shit job of it. So for me, I'm blaming the Yankees, man.
Well, after your Hicks Award, I do have one other rule change that I really want to dive into if we have
time. But yeah, let's get looking like the fans agree with Rob with the Aaron Hicks Award. I was about to go out the Rob Manfred Award. The Aaron Hicks Award looks like the chat agrees with Rob there about DJ LeMahieu. But mine is, I'm actually going to agree with Rajil. Rajil had the point a little earlier. Aaron Boone. Yeah. Aaron Boone, for me, is the Aaron Hicks Award winner. Now, it's not just about the way he managed this series. I thought the way that he approached that interview with John Boy Media was pretty disgusting, right? It's not the fact that he defended Anthony Volpe. He has every right to defend Anthony Volpe, right? But there's a way in which you do it without sounding incredibly arrogant and incredibly condescending. When you say, when you make the lineup, you can make that call. That speaks to someone that has no respect. Zero respect for the people he's talking to. And apparently he's friends with them. But I highly doubt that, because that is not, you never, anyone who respects anyone, you don't say that. That speaks of someone who's unaccountable and gets rattled by anyone asking normal questions. John Boy, to his credit, asked very good questions. When you're saying things like, Anthony Volpe is going to get back to where he was, where is he? Because he's not been a league average hitter for basically since he's become a major leaguer. He really isn't. So overall, it's a fair question to ask. The Yankees have moved the goalposts. The story was never about Volpe being a star Gold Glover. He was actually meant to be a great hitter, and his defense was something that was going to be a work in progress. It's actually the opposite. But they've kind of moved the goalposts, and then they're blaming the Yankee fans. So I thought the way that he approached that was kind of embarrassing. And then he also said some really dumb stuff during that interview. Where he said that Clay Holmes has run into a lot of bad luck, right? And then John Boy said, "Well, it's not really bad luck, because you're putting him in a situation with the below average infield defense. You're gonna, and with a ground ball guy, there's gonna be some problems there." And then Boone immediately reported saying, "I didn't say bad luck. I meant unfortunate." Which is the same thing. Bad luck and unfortunate are the same things. So I thought he was all over the place there. And then when he was asked normal questions, he just replied, "We're not perfect, okay, dude. That's just embarrassing stuff, man. Be better. Be a better manager. Honestly, it just sounds like you got rattled and lost." So that's even a part of it. Then when you look at the way he managed. As soon as he saw Luis Gil pitch in the full wind-up, instead of the stretch, he should have taken him out right there and then, because that meant that he was cooked. He was completely cooked, and he didn't do that. I think his excuses for Alex Verdugo is embarrassing. His excuses for DJ LeMahieu is embarrassing. When he said, we just need to write it out with DJ. Why do you need to write it out with DJ? There's nothing to say that you should be writing it out with DJ. DJ's not giving you anything all year. He's batting 180. So I mean, there's no common sense to that. Um, the way he treated Peraza is almost disgusting. It actually makes me sick the way they treat Peraza. Treat him like freaking yesterday's food in a garbage can. He's sent down again, by the way. He got a couple of at bats and then he got a pinch hit for. It just doesn't make sense. This is kind of it's almost this kind of shit, horrible. And then the way he managed my man Dominguez is disgusting. 27th man. He's the 27th man, and he got mistreated in a situation where it was a no-win situation. And then also his in-game management was horrible, horrible in game one. He just didn't know what he was doing. The infield line was all over the place. He didn't know who he was pitching to. It was just a bad series bad game one for him. And all combined, I thought he was a clown the last couple of days, Aaron Boone. He needs to be better. But maybe we should have started these awards earlier because there's a lot we could have broken down about what Aaron Boone did. But we're almost at the end of the show. But Aaron Boone, for me, is the Aaron Hicks Award winner. I could go on, by the way. He did a lot more shit. Anyway.
Well, we'll get into that rule on Monday. It's just going to start another tangent. But I do want to start wrapping things up. But there was a question about with Peraza and its options. Yet next year he would have no options. They used his last option this year. So, and that's something Robert corrected me on earlier in the season with the options. It doesn't mean that they can't be sent down. It's just within that season. So that's why you saw it. And he was a replacement for Chisholm. So you kind of saw that coming because, that's just unfortunately the way the business is. But it would have been nice to see Peraza stay and somebody else that we've mentioned today on multiple occasions get the boot, but they're not going to do that. Do want also to make sure to say again, thank you to everybody that was in the chat and everybody that did send us those super chats. It is an amazing way to end our week. We appreciate you all, whether you do or you don't. Every comment is respected and appreciated and valued just as much. So just want to make that clear. So if that is going to wrap things up for us, yeah, we had a good time too. Thank you, everybody. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. Wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.